Hi, everyone. Thank you for being here again. Sharon Sananda Kumara here, and I am so excited to be talking with Michele Amburgey today. Hi, Michele.
Hi there. Thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited.
Yes, me too. Thank you for being here. Michele and I reconnected, I don't know, maybe it's been about a month or so ago, but we know that we've known each other for probably eons. I know, parallel experiences, all kinds of things that were like, whoa, you too, whoa, you too, that kind of thing. So there was that instant connection.
Absolutely. It was so wonderful.
Mm-hmm. So we're here to talk about the similar types of experiences we've had, and which are very heartfelt for both of us. I'm sure the relationship between Jesus, Yeshua, and Mary Magdalene, and how we have explored that and what that means to us.
Oh, I could feel them here already. I'm so excited.
I know, I have goosebumps too. So let me read your bio to start. Okay. All right. Michele is here at this time of massive change as the Awakener, the Intergalactic Angel Messenger, and as in Araku.
Yeah.
Okay. A mentor for the New Earth leaders. Nice. She is a spiritual guide to help co-create the New Earth paradigm. Michele has been working as a professional since 2002. She is a certified psychic medium, angelic channel, master energy healer, metaphysical therapist, certified hypnotherapist, past life regression therapist, and a conscious living coach. Michele has mastered 22 healing modalities. Her healing training has also offered her opportunities to study metaphysics, shamanism, spirituality, conscious living, and ancient mystery school teachings. Michele is a true mystic. Michele has been clairvoyant and clairaudient since childhood. She had invisible friends throughout her younger years, and as she got older, she began to hide her gifts, as so many people with gifts do. But after a traumatic event in her early 30s, her gifts began to open up again, and Michele began her quest for truth and divine connection. Michele works with the angelic realms, ascended masters, Christ consciousness, I am presence, intergalactic angels, star beings, and Illumini, I never know how to say that word, illumined. Could you pronounce that for me?
Illumined.
Illumined, thank you. Councils of light from many dimensions. She works with the understanding that although we call upon our spiritual guidance with individual names, we are all one. One heart, one mind. Amen, sister.
Amen.
Yes. So do you mind giving us a little more details on your history and how you came to be where you are now, you know, the compact version, and what, you know, what brought you to the light with Yeshua and Mary Magdalene and that type of thing?
Sure, absolutely. When I was young, again, like the bio says, that I was clairvoyant and clairaudient. So my world was already, you know, I had people there, and, you know, angels and dead people and animals in all different forms. And, you know, my world was very rich. And I was also raised Mormon, which was really interesting. And when you look at the, what is it called? The Book of Enoch, the Keys of Wisdom, they talk about the Mormon church in there having a lot of the ancient wisdom. And so I was raised in that kind of rich environment that is a little bit different, not so much, but it's the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, right? So Jesus is such a center piece there. So my mother was very into like holistic health and all that kind of stuff. So I was raised with that yumminess. And I used to always just know stuff, and it would freak people out. So I kind of, you know, you kind of start closing it in. But when I was 12 years old, 12, 13, I think it was like right on the verge there, I had an experience at church where I had been in talking to the what is called the bishop, that's the head of the ward. And I was coming out, And there are these two people standing at the door, and they knocked on the door, and everybody was in the church, and the bishop came out and they said, we want to worship in your church. And they weren't dressed very well. And that's one of the things the Mormons are very much about, dressing appropriately and everything. And it's an honor, it's an honor thing. But, and the bishop said, you're not dressed, and we can't, but please come back again when you're, dressed appropriately. And he started to walk away, and the man knocked on the door again. And the bishop said, I'm sorry, I can't. And he wasn't being rude or anything. He was really being compassionate, but we have our rules, like religion does, right? And so he started to walk away, and the man like really rapped on the window, and the bishop said, go change your clothes, kind of basically. And then the man turned and looked at me, and it was Jesus. It was Jesus. Wow. And then I noticed the woman sitting next to him, and she was dressed in a light blue sari with this beautiful blue, and she was holding a baby. Mm-hmm. And I don't think I even knew who Mother Mary was at that time, but I went, that's Jesus and Mother Mary. And the church just turned him away. And I didn't go back to church after that. I mean, there are little intermittent things, but sometimes my mom would drop me off and I would sit out in the parking lot. I didn't want to. And nothing against the Mormon church, because they're deep in my heart. I think it's amazing. But I had this experience, and I feel that experience awakened me to the true presence of Christ, that he's real. Right? Up till then, it was like this wonderful etheric thing, but that was real. He came, he was there. And I don't think it was about necessarily being turned away from the church. It was for me to know he is a living being. And so that really stuck with me. And then, of course, at 12 years old, not much interested in religion or anything like that for a while. We moved around a lot. So it was like we didn't anchor in that much. But then when I was about 16 years old, I had a boyfriend who went to an Assemblies of God, and they're like the Holy Rollers, right? They're singing and dancing in the spirit. And I loved it. I was like, woohoo. Well, I started speaking in tongues. And when I did that, I felt like this gold energy just like moved through me, is really the best way to describe it. And again, I just felt that Christ presence. It's like, I know he's real. And so that came through me. So I had another one of those connections, and I always have just loved Jesus. Like, I know who he is. And so life goes on, got married, had kids, got divorced, all that fun stuff that life, drags us through. And I had started getting into healing, and I was doing energy healing, and I had this wonderful woman over, and she was on the table and, kind of, deeply in relaxation. And all of a sudden she sat up and she grabbed my hair and she goes, oh my God, you look just like her. And I was asked who, and she said, Mary Magdalene. And my body just went off, those chills. And I was like, ooh, and I couldn't breathe. And she just laid back down and just went, back into her wonderful, and I was shaking. And so I kind of got over that. And the next day I was driving down the road and I was talking to a friend. I'm like, I think I'm Mary Magdalene. And she's like, what? I go, I'm Mary Magdalene. And when I claimed that, my body, I had to pull over in my car. I almost crashed my car. My body was moving and energy moving. And I feel like by saying I am Mary Magdalene, that association came into my body. I think it was awakened from within, but I felt like it was coming in. And ever since then, I know that I am a representative of Mary Magdalene. And there's so many people that say, oh, I'm the reincarnation of Mary Magdalene. And I think we can all claim that, those of us that are holding that, but we have to remember there are many, right? We have to remember that there's many of us here, because that energy and that sacred feminine energy that was part of Yeshua's ascension, that was part of that whole happening that brought us to what we're going through today. And I think it's so important. And so that was the beginning. But I was so feeling not worthy to make that claim, that even after that, it was like, I'm not saying it. I'm not worthy. I'm not worthy. Right. And so I kept it very quiet. And it's only been in the last maybe year and a half to where it's like, wait, this is a real thing. And I love Jesus so much. I love him as a lover, a brother, a father, a friend. It's so deep and so profound that I have to admit, I know him. I was there. I held him in my arms. He held me in his arms. And it's so profound. And that is so important that this energy be here on the planet right now, because that union is what's happening. It's what's going on this planet, the divine feminine and the divine masculine and the ascension, right?
Right. Totally.
So it's so there. Was that short enough?
No, that was beautiful. That was beautiful. I wanted you to keep going. Yeah, that's beautiful. And I can definitely relate. That's so funny because I say the same thing about Yeshua, Jesus. He's everything to me that the male embodies: lover, brother, father, son, everything. He embodies all of it. And that relationship is just beyond what we can imagine here. So that's beautiful. Wow.
Yeah, it's amazing. And you know what? It's funny. It's like I've always preferred Easter to Christmas. Christmas always felt like it's celebrating Jesus's birth, but it always felt a little off.
Yeah.
But Easter, man, I celebrate the week before. I am in it. And it's not about the walk prior. It's about the result.
Yeah.
And
I used to always get sick. I'm sorry to interrupt you, Michelle. Go ahead.
No.
I was just going to say, I used to always get sick on Christmas.
Oh, interesting.
I knew when Christmas would come around, I would get sick, and I enjoyed Easter a lot more.
Yeah.
until I accepted that role as well as Mary Magdalene, and was able to bring that in and heal that within me. Now I don't get sick on Christmas anymore. Yeah, I don't know if that's, well, we might make some people mad or not. I don't know, but then they might not be here. But I don't believe that was when he was actually, when he walked the planet, that was when he was actually born anyway.
Yeah. Well, and it's a date and a time period that has been used for thousands of years as the birth of the sun, of the many suns. It's throughout history when you start looking back, that time period and the winter solstice and all of that. So it makes sense that they would put his birth there,
right?
Historically, but his actual physical birth, my understanding, it was closer to March or April.
Yeah. I was getting April too, but who knows? But that's that resonates with me. It feels right to me. Yeah. But that's amazing. That's beautiful. How I became aware of it, and I had to die in order to be reconnected with them. So I'm glad you didn't have to go through that. Yeah, in my near-death experience, and I always felt, being raised Catholic, I always felt that the Catholic religion just didn't get him. That, and I, there was something inside me that knew him on a much different level, like you're talking about. So I just couldn't relate to it at all. So I didn't have that, I didn't foster that connection with him because I didn't really understand what I was being taught until I had my near-death experience. And then when I went through that process afterwards, remembering that connection with him and seeing in my meditations. And I remember the first time when I finally, like you were saying, felt worthy of him being there with me, sitting there with me and communicating with me and helping me. I had a memory, he's showing me a memory. This is just so crazy. And it's just as clear as right here, right? And I'm I'm from the first person sitting there on a log, but I look down, I'm dressed in the type of clothing from that time period when he walked the planet. I have on a it's like a brown skirt, different woven colors in it, and I have a cloth covering me. Mm-hmm. And I see him and I feel him sit next to me on the log. We're sitting there and we're like having a meal together on the log outdoors, and we're just enjoying each other's company. And then when we finish eating, he reaches over and he kisses me on the mouth at like a passionate kiss. And I'm like, whoa! And I come bring myself out of the meditation. I'm like, what? He goes, he tells me, just go with it. Just go with it. Right? Just get back in and go with it. So I did. And it was so unreal to me, but real at the same time. And that's where I started realizing this is in the body of, this is from the perspective of Mary Magdalene. And he was helping me remember so much about that life together with him and Mary Magdalene. I was in that presence with him. And it took me, and how do you process that? Right? He taught me about Tantra, he taught me so much about the masculine and the feminine. And that's what I needed healing, definitely. Yeah. Whew, man.
It's here. It is here. The presence is here right now.
It sure is. And so he basically saved my life and helped me remember Sananda Kumara, the name of Sananda Kumara, and that part of me as well, that part of him, and connecting to Mary Magdalene, to that energy stream, that life stream, was so amazing that I was the same as you, Michele, with how can I even fathom being in this place of irreverence with irreverence. I can't even bring the words don't cut it. No. Of this person who walked the planet with him. Then I knew, I'm like, this is the real Yeshua. This is the real Jesus, who has an amazing sense of humor, by the way, as you know.
Yes, he does.
Hilarious. Hilarious. Has you laughing all the time. But that love between them, that adoration between them was just, it was amazing. So that's kind of what broke the shell for me, broke it open.
That is so beautiful. That is so beautiful. It's so real. And, I hear every once in a while people say, oh, well, that's just a myth. I'm like, no, it's not. No. There are very few things that I will stamp my foot and stand up and say, you're wrong. And that's one of them. It's like, no, he walked, he was here. You and I together as one, we're with him.
Yeah.
Woo.
I know, I have goosebumps. I was just have goosebumps. Well, unfortunately, that story, or that part of his history and her history, was written out of the mainstream Bibles, and it's very unfortunate. But that energy is coming back to the planet. The divine feminine is coming back, balancing things out, because we've been upside down for a very long time. Yes. Yeah, connecting to her is just the most amazing experience, as well as when I connect to her as that divine feminine, and that, I mean, the love is
profound. You know, what thought just popped in my head? Do we have any idea of her birth date in that time? Is there any historical records of that?
I don't know. I can't answer that. I don't know. Ooh, yeah, I bet there is some.
There's got to be something somewhere, huh? Ooh, let's put that out there and see if we can't generate that.
Definitely.
That'd be interesting to know.
I know there's a few authors that have started writing books about her and their her and Jesus, Yeshua's relationship.
Yeah.
So their marriage together. And I remember having children with him.
Yep. Me too.
Yeah.
And there was more than one. You know, a lot of people talk about Sarah. I
Sarah.
believe that was the name. And I remember that, but there were others. There were, I want to say at least 3 and as many as 5 is what I have.
I was getting 3, but I also have memories or saw where they adopted some too.
Oh, that would make sense. Of course they would. They loved them all. Yeah.
Yeah. I know. One memory I have of seeing Yeshua sitting on a bench or something he built, I'm sure, in front of our home, and he's with a child, and the absolute care and connection with him and that child. And I felt this was, I'm not sure if it was the adopted child. I'd have to look back at my journals, but I was a little boy.
Yeah.
And there was just so much care and love and compassion and childlike nature within him that connected with the little boy. You know, every time I go into those memories, I just fall more in love with him.
And that's what it is. That is in love. In love with him so deep. And it's funny because not too long ago I had this feeling, you know, because I went through a divorce a long time ago and I've dated a little bit, but and I had this thought drop in. It's like, how could I ever find a human man that could match or step into when you love like that? You know, and